So that was MLEC showing up. They showed up at the crack of dawn, and the thing about the electric companies is they don't really schedule a time with the customer, so you never really know when they're going to show up. And this happened to be Halloween morning, October 31st, and I was still kind of half asleep. I'm not sure if I was up yet or not, but it was barely light out, and I heard the beep 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 of trucks arriving. So quick ran outside and got some video of the action that was going on. And you know, the thing about the electric company is they don't need the customer on site. You know, they don't need access to the house. All the work they do is from the utility pole at the road, you know, to the house or the structure or the meter base that they're going to be energizing. You know, all that electrical work has been done, all the inside work and underground trenching, all that's been done before they arrive, so they don't need the customer there. In fact, they probably prefer the customer wasn't there. So, you know, they had me running around with my camera. My dad was there asking a bunch of questions, and they were all, you know, very helpful, but, you know, probably slowed them down a little bit just to stop and answer questions and this and that. So what you saw there is the trucks coming in, and this is Comet Troy, and this is episode 4 of the Underground Electrical series. 1 was putting the primary conduit in, 2 is building the meter base, episode 3 was the RV sites, and then episode 4, here's MLEC hooking up, or MLEC, Meriwether Lewis Electric Corp, hooking up hooking everything up and energizing it. How exciting. So with that, let's get right to the video. So I just wanted to set a little bit of a baseline here. In episode 2, I showed some of the design stuff of, you know, where we're going to run primary wire and where the transformers were going to go. So I'm going to show just 2 minutes of that clip in this video, just to kind of explain what's going to be going on here today. So in the clip you're about to see, there's a blue line that goes to the back of the property that represents the primary wire. Today we're only going to go halfway. We're just going to go to the first transformer, and that's the 14,400 volts. And then the green box that you'll see in this next clip is where the transformer is going to be set down. Yeah, there's a red line that goes across the driveway into the first panel that was built in episode number 2. And in the design, the service wire is the red line, which is a 240 volt service that goes to the transformer there. Let's get right into that video clip.
I do my best to explain it in simple terms. So on the far right here, you see McGee Road. It's a county road, albeit a small county road. Sometimes I don't even know if I can get my RV down it if another vehicle is coming towards me, but I digress. So what we have at the road is 14,400 volts of high voltage single phase electrical primary wire that goes down the road. So what we're doing is we're going to connect right into that primary wire that goes down the road. No transformers, you know, none of that. It's just a direct connect to the primary wire that goes down the road. And we're going to run that primary wire underground from the pole at the road down the first 500 feet of Linden Camp here toward the back. Once we have that primary wire in the ground, you know, the 14,400 volts, we can plop transformers in where we need them. So the first transformer is going here, and it's going across the driveway, and it's going to go to a power panel that we're going to be talking about in this episode, episode 2. And from that power panel, we're going to connect in RV and EV sites that need power. Now the transformer that we're putting in here on that 14,400 volts essentially steps that voltage down to 240 volts. And the 240 volts actually goes underground across the driveway to the power panel, and more specifically the meter base. There's a 400 amp meter base that will meter the electricity, and then out of the other side of that meter, it's going to go to two 200 amp disconnects or breaker panels. It's got a 200 amp breaker on the top, a main breaker, and then
Now the first things they did is they ran the primary wire through the primary conduit that we had dug in episode 1. It was 3-inch schedule 40, schedule 80 underneath driveways, and that houses the 14,400 volts. So one of the requirements that Meriwether Lewis has here in Tennessee is that you run a pull rope through the conduit. And I thought, well, that was what they're going to use to pull the wire through. Well, no, that's really not not what happened. They used the pull rope to pull through a white nylon strap, a long nylon strap. I would say the strap is similar construction to what you have with ratchet straps. So it's the same kind of material, it's just really long. So they used the pull rope to pull the white primary wire, or the white nylon strap through. So that was the first thing they did. Now at the road, they use what I call Chinese handcuffs, finger cuffs where you stick your finger in and you can't pull it out. I don't know what the technical term is for what they use there, but it's a couple feet long. And they use that to, they attach that to the wire and then attach the nylon pull strap to that mesh thing to pull the wire through, rather than just, trying to tie the strap onto there. So it worked pretty well. Then they had, 3 guys at the transformer base feeding the primary wire down into the transformer base. And then they had 2 guys at the other end by the road with their people lifter or crane or whatever it's called, the bucket truck, and they used the bucket on the bucket truck to they went up and down to pull at the road the primary wire as the guys in the transformer base were pushing it down. So that's how they got the primary wire fed through the 3-inch conduit, and you'll see that coming up here. Now, one of the things that really surprised me is the primary wire itself. I expected a 2 or a 3 conductor wire that they would feed through there. That would be individual. You could pull it apart like you do a lamp cord or whatever, only bigger. But that's not what the primary wire is that goes underground. Think coax, like TV cable coax, but a lot bigger. So the coax they used here, and I'm showing a picture, it has a center conductor. It's about 3/8 of an inch in diameter. That's where the high voltage actually is carried on. And then there's some insulation around that primary wire, and then there's the ground shield around the outside, to keep the electromagnetic interference from escaping the wire. And then of course there's insulation over that. So it's just a single wire, like a TV coax, I guess. And if you ever put an end on a TV coax wire, you probably know what I'm talking about. The diameter of the whole wire was about 1.25 inches. So it was pretty interesting to see. And here's a picture of the covering removed, showing the ground mesh. The strands of copper wire that go around the outside, and that provides not only a path for the ground, but also our neutral ground, and it also is somewhat like a Faraday cage, where it traps electromagnetic interference inside that wire. So pretty neat stuff. Well, Meriwether Lewis is right here bright and early in the morning, starting to put in the first transformer. They're running some primary wire through the trenches right now. This big spool of wire. Then we've got another rig up at the road where the pole is. So we're trying to get the wire from the road back to here onto the property. So pretty exciting. So here we are by the pole at the road where they're pulling the wire through from the other end, and they're using this looks like a white nylon strap to pull the wire with I guess a little crane attached to the truck. So they go up and down, and eventually the wire will appear up over here. So here they are using the crane attached to the truck. It's a mini crane, I guess I'd call it. And they're using this to pull the big wire through from the other end. There it is.
You got wire, bro. Yeah. All right,
What's the diameter of that wire?
I never told what the size it is. It's 1/0 wire, but I don't know what.
1/0 wire?
Yeah. On the inside of it. It's got coating on it.
And it's 2 conductor?
It's gonna swing your way a little. Do you think?
So after they installed the primary wire, they installed the secondary wire. Now the secondary wire is your typical 3 conductor insulated cable. It's not a coax. And you know, you can tell it, in this next video it's going to have a yellow stripe on it. Now the primary wire had a red stripe on it, so this one has yellow, and it's three conductor, and it's 4/0 aluminum is what they use for 400 amp service. And again, they use the same Chinese handcuffs, as I call them, to you know, to pull this wire through. They didn't use any mechanical means to pull it, so it was only, I don't know, probably about a 25 or 30 foot run. So they had the same guys, you know, pulling it off the spool at the truck, feeding it down in, and then they had another guy at the panel just you know, pulling it through from that end, just using just manual effort. So it, you know, looked like it was a little bit of effort to get that through there because it's big wire, but you know, it looked like it came through fairly easy. All right, they're running the secondary wire now. The red stripe stuff is 1/0 aluminum for the primary wire, and then the yellow stuff is a 3 conductor 4/0 aluminum for the service, the 400 amp service. So the transformer will go here where the guys are working on the transformer pad. Primary will come in from the street. On the primary side of the transformer, that's why they call it primary wire, because the transformer has a primary and a secondary. And then the voltage is stepped down from 14,000 some volts, I guess, down to 240 to the pole where the meter is. So they're getting ready to run the secondary wire now, which is on the spool in the truck.
Ready? Yeah.
And then the spool in the trailer is the primary wire. And that goes up to the meter base over here. And voila, there it came through.
Ed! We got it, brother.
All right, excellent. So here's the 4/0 aluminum wire coming into the meter base. That'll be connected up to the meter lugs there at the top, and then they'll plug a meter base in, or a meter into the meter base here. All right, so here the meter base is all wired up. We got the 2 conductors at the top coming in, and the ground wire going to the ground bar there on the left. The meter will go in there, and then the metered power comes out the bottom with the 2 wires. These 2 go over to this disconnect, and then these 2 go over to this disconnect, 200 amp disconnect. So that's how the meter base is wired.
You well on your way now.
Yeah, got a meter now at least. And there's my shiny new transformer, delivered on a Santa Claus sleigh from MLEC. So they're getting ready to hoist that down into position. Isn't she pretty? These guys don't mess around. They're pretty quick. So Santa delivered a transformer in his sleigh, an MLEC truck, Meriwether Lewis Electric Co-op. So here's my shiny new transfer being delivered.
What are we doing up there? Pulling the wire up to that transformer.
let's talk about grounding. So interesting enough, they drive some ground stakes into the ground. There's some up by every utility pole at the road that goes down from, that grounds the pole, and then they put a couple rods in by the transformer to ground the transformer, and then the meter base itself has a couple rods 6 feet apart to ground the meter base. So that's pretty much all the grounding there. There's no grounding at the RV stations, so those get ground from the breaker panel, the distribution panel, which is grounded to the meter base. So you'll see them pounding the ground stakes in here this next video. And I was kind of surprised that they used the manual method rather than having some fancy dancy tool, but here it is.
The biggest guy doing that.
Yeah.
Well, the local utility here is bright and early. Got the transformer base over there with a transformer on it now, and that's wired up to a meter base, or being wired up to a meter base behind me here for 400 amp service with a 200 disconnect on each side. So we're going to have plenty of space for our RV sites and EV stations. And then of course behind me is where it comes in from the road. You can kind of see the pole going up the top of my RV, like right behind it there. The wire has been pulled, it just hasn't up to the pole yet. Okay, in this next video, they're going to be connecting that primary wire, it looks like coax, to the actual transformer. And they had to peel the insulation back and get the ground mesh out of there, twist it together, and then they had to put a big old end on the end of the primary wire, similar to a coax, a cable TV coax connector you put on. You got to peel the insulation back and slide the connector on. Now this connector is a lot bigger than your TV coax, and you'll see in the next video that they had to fight quite a bit to get that in all the way. They had a couple of guys wrenching on it, so you'll see that coming up here next.
Sure, get that on there.
Hold it with her. Yeah, hold me back.
I'll go over the ditch here.
Smallest guy holding the damn wire.
Yeah, I know. Learning experience right here.
Want Daddy get hold of it?
I'm waiting for it.
I hope it don't break, but it's gonna go plumb through your gut. He gonna knock crap out of you, bud.
Cut off that hard.
Break it down, be spitting up blood.
You see the problem there, right? Go ahead, Saul. Too late. Here's Sawbone.
Where's that tip on there? Was that ceramic or something, or that's the connection?
Yeah, that's what makes it. What he screwed in there, you know that?
Yeah, that white thing. That
Yeah.
Was, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh. It's about ready to rock and roll. Or...
Yep.
Go over that capsule.
Yeah.
So the primary comes in the bottom left, goes to the transformer, and then it comes out through the
the 240 on the right hand side here, the ground bars on the bottom, the 2 conductors are on top of that, and then this extra lug is to carry on down to the second transformer when we finally get that one in place. And of course there's a mesh of ground wires and stuff down below, and that is how the transformer's hooked up.
So the primary wire is connected to the transformer. They have the meter base in. You know, they have the secondary wire. Now we have to move to the road and, you know, prepare the utility pole for you know, for service. So there's some Schedule 80, 3 10-foot sticks. So that'll be 30 feet of conduit. That's going to go up the pole. And then my RV is currently disconnected. So that would be my service I've been using since June. And you can see, I don't know if you can see it in this video. I'll try to zoom in here. And you can see where that thin, springy looking wire at the top of that can up there, that's the wire, that's the primary wire they disconnected to cut off the service so they could work safely. There's the weather cap. So the first picture I'm showing here is what I call the fuse holder. So it's the part they put at the top of the pole. There's a fuse that connects the bottom to the top that they swing into place, and it's got some, you know, big giant insulators, and you know, they're going to mount that at the top of the pole, which we'll get to see here in the drone video. Now next, I have some drone video here, and we're going to start on the ground with the drone, and you'll see them actually, again, they have to peel the insulation back and get the ground mesh off to the side and twisted. And you know, we're going to start on the ground here and work our way up, and then you'll see that they're you know, preparing the pole here. And there's also some pretty there's some pretty fall foliage colors here that you'll see. And I actually have another video, it's an hour long, that shows all the fall colors on that day too. So you can see that. I've linked it up here on top if you want to watch that. And it's pretty neat. So to attach that fuse holder at the top, they drilled a hole all the way through the pole, put a bolt through it, and then you'll notice here in the drone video that there's 2 wires. The top wire is the hot wire that carries the 14,400 volts, and the bottom wire is the neutral wire that you know, runs along with the hot wire. So. And you know, here you'll see that the guy is actually attaching the fuse holder to the pole. Now up to this point, nothing is live. So you know, we're touching transformers, have our hands in meter bases, and you know, wire, and you know, just pretty much, you can pretty much do anything you want because the service hasn't been turned on yet. So that's the last step we're going to see next. And they you know, it was kind of bated breath. I was, you know, they're actually on the ground with this big long pole trying to flip the fuse up into place to energize everything. And I was just, you know, well, of course they're professionals, so you're not going to hear a big loud pop of something going bad, but you know, you never know. And I kind of wondered why and I never did ask them, you know, why they use a big long 40-foot pole from the ground to flip the fuse. You know, they got a guy in a bucket truck. You'd think it'd be a lot easier rather than trying to fish his pole through here. But then I got to thinking about it, and I never did ask him, but I got to thinking about it. It's like, well, they probably used the big long pole from the ground for, you know, for separation in case, you know, you got a guy, you know, working right there on the wire from the bucket, if there's a short or something and things pop and flash and explode, you know, you don't want to be that close to it. So I'm guessing that's why they have the big fiberglass pole from the bottom. So let's go ahead and watch that. It's kind of interesting. It took them a few tries to do it. So, but you know, you'll see if they ended up getting it or not. So now they have the pole ready, and they're getting the primary wire ready to connect up, or my primary wire getting ready to connect up to the primary at the road. The video is going to open with the primary cover removed. You'll be able to see the ground wire, and you know, they're unwrapping that ground mesh, and then they'll attach that to the primary wire at the utility poles. All right, we're making progress. We got the Schedule 80 up the pole now. Primary wire is being connected up. Looks like he's working on the ground wire right now. The RV pole was removed temporarily so they could reposition the connector. It was in the way of the 3-inch conduit going up the pole, so they had to move that around a little bit. So looks like we're getting close to having a secondary source of power, or a secondary feed, I guess. It's still the same source. All right, they're getting ready to throw the main switch for the new transformer. They're going to use this long fiberglass pole, and they're gonna stick that little finger through the hole on the bottom of the fuse up there and flip it up, and we'll have juice.
Did we get a beer, Troy?
Yeah.
The moon yet?
This is like a bar game in Wisconsin. Get a 40-foot pole and see if you can get it through the ring.
Boy, you were steady hand for that.
If he knows he's being recorded, it's probably even more difficult, you know, when someone's watching.
You don't always work with the same tool, or pretty much. Oh, good job. We've done it for a while.
So I hope you enjoyed that video. Like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you in the next video.